Our very own intrepid reporter Maura recently spoke to the NI Environment Agency, who have been very good at sponsoring some of the workshops involved with the Feile and Feile Festival this summer. She spoke last week to Peter Cush and Ian Enlander from the agency last week, and this was the interview that she carried out with those guys.
I am joined by Peter Cush and Ian Enlander, both from the NIEA. Now, in case you didn't know, Feile FM is running workshops over the course of the Feile week, and NIEA, of course, are sponsoring it. So we have these lovely men joining us now to talk about their roles at NIEA. So Peter, just to start off with you, you're a senior scientific officer within the biodiversity section of the NIEA. That is right, isn't it?
That's right.
I've managed to get that right. And Ian, you work as the Earth Heritage Officer, and that's within the Conservation Science section, is that right? Oh, I managed to do that, okay, phew. Okay, so starting with you, Peter, just tell me about your role then at the NI Environment Agency.
Yeah, well, my role is to encourage local action for biodiversity right across the country. So, and also part of that is raising awareness in general of biodiversity. And the way I do this is really working with a network of council biodiversity officers. So not every council in Northern Ireland has a biodiversity officer, but for example, there's one in Belfast, there's one in Antrim, there's one in Newton Abbey, there's one in Fermanagh, there's one in Dungannon, South Tyrone, there's one in Derry. So these biodiversity officers initially were grant-aided by Northern Ireland Environment Agency, and their role is to roll out a programme of action for biodiversity, get action happening on the ground to conserve biodiversity. And biodiversity is the variety of life that we find in the planet. It includes everything from bacteria right up to the great whales. But if you take it in the context of where we are here in Belfast, biodiversity is all the life that you see around you, and it's not just special species, it's not just rare species, it's every living thing that you see from the shore at Belfast Lough right up to the top of Divis Mountain. It's the street trees, it's the gardens, it's the parks, it's the nature reserves like the bog meadows. So my job is to make people aware that they're surrounded by biodiversity, even though they live in the heart of the city, that it's important and that they should be doing something to conserve it. Not because it's nice to have little pretty animals running around, but it's absolutely essential to our lives. I mean, you can't escape biodiversity, even if you're not interested in it. It's there, and it's going to bite you if you don't look after it. For example, lots of areas of biodiversity provide flood relief. They provide our food. They provide substances that we use, like wood that we're using for making our buildings. So it's an extremely important part of everybody's life, even if they don't realise it.
Well, I'm actually glad you went into that depth, because it's a very grand term, biodiversity, and a lot of people may not understand exactly what it means or why it's important to them.
That's right.
So tell me what a day is like for you with your job. What kind of things would you do? For instance, we come in and answer phones, or we're meeting and greeting guests, and that all seems very mundane, I'm sure, to what you do every day. Yeah.
Well, you might be surprised. I think initially most people would think all this man Cush does is run about, with a pair of binoculars looking at birds and, looking at plants and having a nice time, being outdoors all the time. But it's really like everybody else's job. There's lots of phone calls, there's queries from the public, there's lots of meetings. So you have to go and talk to people in councils. You have to put together funding applications. You have to work out things like strategies and action plans. There's an awful lot of paper involved. You spend a lot of time on the computer. But it is important, I think, for me and everybody that I work with. And it's something we have to, I find myself all the time thinking, look, is what I'm doing here eventually leading to something on the ground? And I think that's always a challenge for all of us. You're constantly asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I putting this funding package together? Why am I talking to this council officer? Why is the council employing this officer? Why is the RSPB doing something, or the Ulster Wildlife Trust, or Conservation Volunteers Northern Ireland? And I think we're all conscious that at the end of the day, your job is about action. Now, unfortunately for me, a lot of the action that takes place on the ground isn't down to me. Sometimes I do get hands-on involvement, but that can be quite rare. What I'm trying to do is make sure that there's money in place and there are processes in place that other people can actually do things on the ground. For example, I don't actually do any work in the bog meadows, but over the years I've been involved at various stages in setting up the whole package, things like land purchases, making sure the Ulster Wildlife Trust have enough funding, making sure that the knowledge is there. But I very seldom get the chance to get involved in direct action myself. I have a few examples of that, but maybe we'll come back to that later.